Hello everyone, my name is Brandon Oliveris from Co-Creation Coaching. I hope that everyone had a wonderful Christmas or your holiday of choice. I know mine was very good. But today I want to talk about step 2 of the effortless manifestation process I've been talking about for the last several weeks. About 3 weeks ago, I started with a video about the technique in general. I talked about the 2 steps and overview. And last week, I talked about specifically how to apply step 1. So today, I want to talk about step 2 in this process. And then I might do one more video just about how to bring all this together once more. So I want to recap a little bit for those who might have not seen the last videos yet. I will give links to those videos in the description for this one, so you can see those there. But basically this process is for manifesting any goal, and it also basically teaches how the law of attraction works, how manifestation works on a very basic level. Okay, because once you realize how all this works, then you can use that knowledge to your benefit to have your own successful manifestations. Okay, so just to recap again, step 1 is the most important step I mentioned last week. If you do any step, step 1 is the one you want to do. Okay, and you don't want to rush step 1, and I'm going to say this several times today. You don't want to rush step 1, because if you go into step 2 before you're done with step 1, your vibration won't be at the level where you can maintain that focus in a useful way, and you'll probably get more of the resistance you already have. So you really don't want that. If you see that happening in your life, and believe me, I've had that I've had that happen before, you want to back off. Okay, there's no rush here. And the less of a rush that you're in, usually the more quickly it tends to happen, this manifestation. So it's really, I'm not saying it's going to take months, I'm not saying it's going to take years, but it might take a little bit for the old resistance to be released. Okay, so step 1 is making peace with your situation, as I talked about last week. And I talked about my favorite technique for doing that is mindfulness. Simply being aware of your thoughts and not giving them any energy. And I got a lot of positive comments about step 1, so it seems like it's really resonating with a lot of you, so I'm really happy about that. And hopefully what I described today will do the same. But step 1 is basically releasing your resistance through making peace with the current situation. One of my favorite quotes from Abraham is basically that the best attitude to have for manifestation is being okay with your current situation and looking forward to more. Okay, I think that's about the best way it can be described. So, that is step 1. And again, don't rush it. It might take several days, it might take a week, it might take more. But be persistent. I talked about having a moment-by-moment awareness of your current emotional state, and that's about the most important thing you can do. Even in step 2, you'll want to do that. So always be aware of your emotional guidance, always be aware of what's going on. So step 2 now is to find the vibrational essence of your manifestation. Now, what do I mean by finding the vibrational essence of your manifestation? This is so important. Let me start by talking about exactly how the law of attraction works. Okay, I've talked about whatever you focus on expands, that what you give your energy to tends to grow, right? Including if you fight it. I was saying last week about there's no such thing as, or if you try to fight something that's just going to grow, there's no such thing as pushing it away and successfully getting away from it, you know? It's like if someone says not to think about a pink elephant, the first thing you're going to do is to think about a pink elephant, because you can't talk about something in a negative sense without activating it. So if you activate lack of money, if you activate struggling with money or whatever other issue you have, then that is activated. No matter how much you say no to it, it's activated. And so I want to expand on all this and describe how exactly the law of attraction works. Okay? Because there is a huge misconception in the law of attraction and in related fields such as prayer that that the universe is focused on the things. Okay, I'll give you an example. I'm going to talk about prayer for a few minutes, even though it's not really how we tend to do things, but it's useful. If you've ever been one to pray or ever seen someone else who does, what tends to happen? You sit down or kneel down or whatever, and you say something like, "Oh God, I don't know what to do. I have all these problems, and I really need your help. And I don't know how I'm going to get out of this, and this is happening, and that's happening." And you get into a bit of a venting, a venting stage, okay? And how good does that feel? I talked about last week about the emotional guidance system. How good does it feel to be doing that? To be complaining basically to God about what's going on. It doesn't feel very good. And people wonder why their prayers aren't answered. And I'll tell you why in a second. I've talked about this before, but it bears repeating. So people wonder this. Why doesn't God answer my prayers? Why does he only answer some prayers and not others? Things like this. And the answer is very simple. The answer is that God or the universe or whatever you choose does not really care about or focus on the words, the actions, the thoughts, the concepts, the things that you're focusing on. God doesn't see money. Bob wants more money. And he doesn't sit up there and, his request, I think he deserves it, so I'll answer his prayer. But her request, she did this thing last week, so I don't know if she really deserves this, and so I'm going to say no to that one. God, there's no being up there doing this, and that's why I like to see the universe as a more mechanical process. And that's why it's called the law of attraction. It's not the whim of attraction where you have the whim of some being, whether he's going to answer your prayer or not. The law of attraction is the law of attraction because it's a law. Because if you follow these steps, you're going to get these results. And if you're not getting these results, there's something you're doing wrong, right? It's going wrong somewhere in the process. So God doesn't focus on the things. What God or the universe focuses on is the emotions. And if there's nothing else you understand about any of my videos, this is the thing to understand. The universe does not focus on the things. The universe focuses on the emotions. Okay, so let's take an example. Let's take money again. If you're focusing on money and you're feeling fear or anxiety or desperation or frustration or panic, that's one way of thinking about the issue of money. You could also be thinking about money, let's say if you're Bill Gates, and feel joy or feel effortless ease. Because wake up tomorrow, you're going to have another $1 million or something, You're going to feel effortless ease and flow. You're going to feel happiness. There's a whole range of emotions you can feel there. So, whereas most people will think that's one issue, money, it's actually many, many different issues depending on the emotion behind it. You can focus on money and feel fear. You can focus on money and feel frustration. You can focus on money and feel joy. Okay? And so it's many different issues. The universe doesn't care that you're thinking about money. The universe cares that you're feeling fear, frustration, joy, etc. Again, that is the most important thing that could possibly be said in this video. And once you know that, and once you really come to believe that, and once you apply that, you really won't have any problems. Or if you do, you'll know exactly why you do, and you'll be able to change it as soon as you decide to. Okay, so the universe focuses on emotions. Emotions are the gears of the universe. Okay? So, last week, in my first video, when I talked about step 1, I said you have to not feed into the thoughts. And the reason is that those thoughts cause emotions in you. So a thought of, how am I going to pay the bills, for example, triggers an emotion of lack within you. Whereas if you are mindful of it, if you observe it and you don't feed into it, I talked about starving the manifestation, then you don't get that feeling of lack. You get I talked about the void state, okay? And so that's why that stuff works. Now step 2 is going to take advantage of this even more and focus on the emotions you want. So here's what we're going to do. I want you to take your manifestation. We're going to use the example of money here, but it could be a relationship, it could be a career, it could be a new house, a new car, anything you want. Take your manifestation and ask yourself, why do I want it? Because one of the things Abraham says is that any manifestation you have that you desire it because you believe that you will feel better in the having of it. Okay, so again, let's take money. Let's take, you want $10,000 more per year. Now, why do you want it? Now, you might have an answer like, I want to travel more. You might have an answer like, I want to save up a bit. Or I want to have the freedom to purchase more of the things that I want that bring me joy. Okay, now, if that's one of the something like that is the answer, you want to go to another level. Why do you want that? Well, I want to travel because it feels free. I want to travel because it's fun. Or I want to save because it will make me feel secure. Or I want to buy more things for myself that I enjoy because it brings me joy and happiness. Do you get what I'm saying? You're going to get to an emotion. It doesn't have to be this real deep spiritual thing like oneness and enlightenment. It doesn't have to be that. I think it ultimately probably is, but we just need the emotion. And you don't need to label it with words. You don't need to say happiness or joy or peace or whatever. You just need to feel it. Okay, what would it feel like to have that? Let's say you have enough money and you're traveling all around the world, or you're buying all the things you want that you enjoy, or you have a nice savings account. What does that feel like? To have it. Not to want it, but to have it. And just feel those. Okay? And here's what happens. You'd have those emotions. You don't need to write it down or anything. Just keep track of them in your mind. And I want you to enter that, as much as you can, that state of peace I talked about last week. Just make sure there's no negative emotions floating about in your awareness, because it'll make it harder to switch to the positive momentum. But open up just a little bit to feeling, let's say, fun, joy, happiness, security, freedom. Make it almost a mantra. Fun, joy, happiness, security, freedom. And you'll start just by saying those things to yourself, just thinking those things, to feel them. It might be a little teeny bit. It might be just a glimpse but that's okay. You don't want to force this, because forcing it says, I need this right now. You know? Forcing it says, I'm not okay with where I am. And then if you are trying to do that, that's a sign you need to go step one again. Right? So you're okay with where you are. This is just a creative venture. This is just exercising your creative power that you inherently possess. And so, once you open up to this, it'll start to grow. And you just leave room for it. You don't quash it. It's like fanning a flame to existence. You might have just the kindling at first, and it just might have a little spark, and you add to it a little bit, or you flame it, or you fan it a little bit. And if you do it too much, if you give too much air at first, it goes out, right? It gets stronger once it's a big roaring fire, but at first it just takes some tenderness, some care. And the more you fan that flame, the more it grows, but you don't want to overdo it. And so it's like this. It's like you feel a little bit of that joy or a little bit of that freedom. What would that feel like? Okay, and you let that grow. You just very lightly focus on it. Okay, feel a little bit of that joy. And it's okay to feel that. I'm going to feel that. I'm going to focus on it. I'm going to let it grow. I'm not going to make it grow. That's force. I'm going to let it grow. Because again, whatever you focus on expands. And now, as you're doing that, a few things might happen. And it's okay if they don't happen, but they might. You might start to have memories come up of times you felt like that. You might have thoughts come up of ways that this might come to pass. If it's fun you want to have, you might think about, oh, where could I go on vacation? Maybe I'll go to France, or maybe I'll go to Hawaii, or maybe I'll go to Caribbean. And this is not planning. This is not, well, I have to save up this many thousands of dollars and I have to buy the ticket. It's not that. That's way too specific. We want to be really general right now. You want to just be on the emotions. But if this naturally comes up where you're thinking, oh, wouldn't it be nice to go to this place? And even if you never go there, you might think of something different tomorrow. I don't care. It's just letting this feeling grow. And right now, that's the representation of the feeling, is maybe going to this one place. Or if it's freedom, or if it's, let's say, security you want. Oh, how would it be to have a savings of $5,000? What would that be like? And tomorrow you might decide, oh, well, I'd rather have a savings of $10,000. Or maybe I would just, do it another way. You don't have to think about, 401k or, mutual funds or any of the... It's just letting yourself dream about this. And that might naturally happen. Because let me tell you something. The things you want are only representations of the emotions you're going after. If you're going after fun, right now you might think traveling is the thing. Tomorrow you might think, learning some new hobby, learning some new skill is the thing. Maybe learn how to dance, or maybe learn how to weave, or something. Or maybe you learn a new language. That's what I'm doing right now, which might lead naturally into travel. I hope so. But it's just a representation. Fun is the thing you want, or freedom, or security, or joy are the things you want. The manifestations are only representations of those emotions, and they might change, and it's okay if they change. You're going to clarify your desires over time, but what you really want, the essence, that vibrational essence I discussed earlier, is the emotion of what you want. So you take the specific representation you think you want right now, which is the money, like I said, and generalize it to this vibrational essence, this emotion. Okay? So these things will start to happen. You're going to have these memories come up probably. You might have thoughts about how you might fulfill this desire. And as long as it feels good, that's perfect. If it gets to the point where you're worrying about it too much, that can never happen, What am I thinking? It's too complicated. Back off. You're trying too hard. Go back to the emotion. And if even that doesn't work, then go back to step one. Step one is your safety net. Okay? So that will begin to happen. Now, as you allow this to happen, you'll start to see it in your everyday life. You might see, let's say for fun, you might see ads for traveling. You might see travel agents. You might, have, you might see discounts for plane tickets. Things like this. It's not a sign you have to act on it. If it feels forceful to act on it right now, don't act on it. It's just the universe kind of winking at you and saying, hey, is this sort of what you want? And if you say, yes, that's what I want, and I would like more like that, then you'll get more like it. Now, if you if you take it as some kind of sign and you act too soon, or if you take it as some kind of taunting, like, oh, look, there are these things you can't afford right now, then you're kind of slamming the door on that manifestation, which is okay. Another opportunity will arise. There are always new opportunities, but it's like playing with the universe. Take it lightly as it's meant to be. Or if it's security that you want, you might see something about investments, or something about saving, or advice about the best ways to do it. Not that you're looking for it, unless it feels good to seek that out, but just that it starts to enter your reality here and there. And so this is the universe just kind of winking at you and saying, is this what you want? Do you want more like this? And you can clarify that desire. Yeah, I want something like that, maybe a little bit different, or, oh yeah, this is perfect, I want more like this. Okay? Or for money, in general, you might find a penny on the sidewalk. That's a manifestation. You have to take everything to mean something. And you might feel crazy for a while, because sometimes it feels like the universe is literally talking to you. And I don't mean in voices, I mean in signs. You'll find something. I'll give you an example. I'm learning French right now. Okay, and sometimes I'll be like, oh, what was that word in French for this one English word? And I hadn't written it down. And I just kind of forget about it. I didn't really bother with looking it up in the dictionary. I just kind of... And then literally later that day, I see that word somewhere. Seriously. And I'm like, wow, the universe is helping me to learn this language. Like, earlier today, I was like, oh, I forget the word for genius. And then, just a little bit ago, before I did this video, I was reading an article and this word came up, génie. Okay, that's genius in French. Like, wow. So, that's what it is. And, anyway, so, it's like playing with the universe. And you're going to let that happen. You're going to let that happen. And it's so fun once it does. It's so fun once it does. So it'll keep growing. It'll keep growing, and pretty soon you'll have your manifestation in bigger and bigger ways. Now again, always respect your emotional guidance. If it feels too soon to act, don't act. The universe will keep growing this manifestation. It'll keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and eventually you'll say, that's it. That's the thing I have to do. Or you won't have to do anything. It'll just fall into your lap. Just follow your emotional guidance. Just be aware of what feels good in any moment. Okay, and that's what it is. So, that's how all of this works. It's so simple once you do it. Just pay attention to your emotions. Let it grow. And if at any point, again, you feel the resistance, just ignore it. Just be mindful of it. Don't give it any attention. And it will go away. But if it gets too big, go back to step one until you're ready. There's no rush with any of this. And pretty soon, you will know exactly where everything in your life came from, whether positive or negative. And it'll be like dancing with the universe. I mentioned probably about a month and a half ago the cosmic dance in an article that I did. And it's like that. the universe will be on your side. It always is on your side. You just don't see it yet. And that's what you'll feel like more and more as you do this process. Okay? So, I hope all this makes sense. Feel free to leave comments if you have any questions or anything else, and I will be happy to answer them. If you enjoy this video and would like more like this, then please subscribe to my YouTube channel or visit my website at www.co-creationcoaching.org. Thanks everyone, and have a great day, and Happy New Year also.